Knicks Nation, let's talk about this game. Man, unbelievable. Just hard to describe how this game ended. What a unbelievable game from start to finish. Both teams came out hot. The Knicks regathered momentum, got ahead, then got further ahead. And in 3 minutes remaining in the game, Aaron Neesmith became Steph Curry, Ray Allen, the hottest shooter in the gym. He finished 8 of 3 from downtown to force overtime. Halliburton hit a massive three that banked off the back of the iron, went all the way up and all the way down. And the Knicks choked a game that they should not have lost, up 14 points with 3 minutes and change remaining, man. Just hard to describe what we witnessed. You got to play to the final whistle. The Knicks played around. The Knicks played around with their food, but like I said, Aaron Neesmith, a lot of things went the Pacers' way. From the what should have been a goaltend, that was the biggest call. I think the blown call. That was a swing play. Ended up a 3 the other way. A 5-point swing right there. So the Knicks deserved to lose because they played around, but in a way they didn't deserve to lose because, the missed calls. But it is what it is. MG, salute, chat, Chris, Emmanuel, Elliott, buzzer beater, Rye, Tendrell, Knicks diehards out here. This is NBA basketball, man. Playoff basketball. Two fierce competitors going back and forth, but this, whatever happens, will go down as one of the biggest chokes in Knicks playoff history, and we watched it unfold, man. The silver lining is that it's game one of what should be and what looks to be a very long series ahead. But if the Knicks don't pull this series out, we'll obviously be looking back at a game like this straight away. And if you ever wanted to know what a Boston Celtics fan would have felt like after game one, but after game two as well, just so many things went against the Knicks. So many things went for the Indiana Pacers. Even then, the Knicks still had a chance to win it in OT. But the ball hit Brunson's fingertips, and Rick Carlisle still had a challenge remaining. And that was just the straw that broke the camel's back in this one, right? There are a lot of heroes, some villains as well. But all in all, it was a fiercely competitive game, man. And if it's going to be a 7-game series like this, man, my heart might not make it, fam, right now after this. Pacer fans celebrating, Halliburton doing the choke sign early. He went early with it. Does that come back to bite? The Knicks are going to have to man up and bury this mentally and come back and win game two and take their business on the road. I always felt, guys, this series was going to come down to the Knicks winning on the road. I always knew Indiana could take a game at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks is the favourites coming into this series, and for most of the night, looked in cruise control, looked comfortable until the 3-point ball got crazy. But the Knicks are going to have to then put their money where their mouth is and win a game in Indianapolis, where it's not going to be easy. I thought they really did control the pace tonight. Mitchell Robinson was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best Knicks, but late, the Knicks defense just fell asleep. I did feel Indiana were hesitant shooting threes. Now, the Garden, maybe the crowd, the Knicks' ability to withstand the pace early did push them back on their heels, and they were a bit tentative to shoot threes. But when they had to shoot threes and they had no choice, and they just decided to let them fly, they started to go down. And maybe this is the game where Indiana's the hottest in the whole series. Maybe not. We're going to find out. But it's a dangerous game when you let these shooters wide open. Tibbs used his challenge early, and that was the killer. That was the killer tonight, guys, because one of those plays, Halliburton hit the three, kicked Brunson in the groin, and that would have been overturned if Tibbs had a challenge call. But that went down as a 3-point bucket. Like I said, the goaltend, the fingertip. Carlisle got the better of Tibbs tonight, man. It's not how you start; it's how you finish. We learned that from Boston. I just never thought that we were going to throw this one away, but how crazy tonight's collapse was. Basically, the Pacers would have had less than a 1% chance with 3 minutes remaining. Let that sink in. Less than 1% chance to win the game. So the Knicks led by 14 with 2:45 to play in the fourth. And now we're in OT versus the Pacers. Teams that led in a playoff game up 14 in the final 2:45 of the fourth quarter. 994 wins, 0 losses, man, in play-by-play era since 1997. So basically, the Knicks lost a game that was unlosable. 994 teams have won the game. Went up by 14 with 2:45 remaining, man. We witnessed a miracle. Nothing short of a miracle tonight for Indiana. Now, that's not necessarily indicative of what's going to play out for the rest of the series. The Knicks need to grit their teeth, bury this. If they win the series, no one will be talking about this too much. If they lose the series, that's all people will be talking about. And then with 50 seconds left, still up 9 as well. But with the 3 ball and these challenges, you can work your way back. You can worm your way back into a game, a turnover here, off some dude's fingertips, a couple of missed free throws. We got to talk about that. How could I forget about that? Mikal Bridges clanked 2 of his free throws early in the game. I thought that was going to come back to bite us. This was the first time Mikal Bridges has shot free throws since the Detroit series. So he is rusty. He never gets to the line. So when he got to the line tonight, he was an 80% shooter, and he clanked both of them. OG Anunoby clanked 2 free throws. Cat clanked 2 free throws as well. Brunson missed 2. Deuce McBride missed 1. Just unbelievable. Mitchell Robinson obviously missed 2. OG. Hart missed 1. OG 2. The Knicks went 28 of 40. 70% from the free throw line. That's another killer. That's another killer, guys. But it's hard to sit here and take positives away, but there is positives in this game. The outcome is absolutely sickening. But in terms of what lies ahead for the rest of the series, the Knicks were in control. This could be a slap in the face wake-up call. I thought Thibodeau, the team, just fell asleep. But it is dangerous, when you're up 14-12, right, with 3 minutes remaining. You don't really want to contest too hard. So from that standpoint, Neesmith hit 1, got to 11. Then he hit another one. Then it got to 9, and it's like, okay, we're still going to win this game. And then he hits another one, and then it's just the clock just seems to freeze. The clock just doesn't tick. And then it's like, whoa, wait a minute. It's 6 points with 30 seconds remaining. Another 3. Before you know it, the game's just over. It's a blur right now. We don't want to relive this once again, but it was a choke, man. It was an all-time choke. Ekim says no positives in a loss, bro. Yeah, no positives in the loss, but I'm saying how we played, earlier in the game. Game 1, as I say, guys, is always the easiest to steal for the road team, My fear was that Indiana were going to win this one. I still had the prediction Knicks in 6, but obviously that's going to be a lot more difficult right now. But yeah, the Knicks were absolutely hexed. The Knicks were jinxed tonight with Reggie Miller in the building. Deuce McBride, one of the plays of the game, blocking Siakam. The Knicks went on that insane run. David says Brunson with the 40 piece, but 3 big turnovers in OT. Yeah, got to take care of the ball, but he was also getting fouled on a lot of them. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Brunson's 4th foul was ridiculous, to be honest. Brunson's 4th foul was crazy, and then they reviewed it. I thought Neesmith was draped all over him. And look, I like Tibbs challenging that call. That was Brunson's 3rd foul. Sorry, I correct myself. I thought that was one of the worst calls of the game. Brunson's 3rd foul. Tibbs used the challenge early. It killed us, but I thought we were going to win that challenge. But the referees just see it differently, man. It's crazy sometimes, when you put your fate in the hands of these referee challenge calls. It's like, what is it to the human eye, man? It's different. You could show the same thing to 10 different people, and 10 people will say it's something different. That's how crazy things are sometimes. You could show a car tire to 10 different people, and 10 people might say it's something different. So these NBA referees will see it differently to each other right now. I mean, lucky Halliburton's foot was on the line. That allowed the Knicks to regroup, get to OT. We got ahead, got up in OT. It was just a game of possession. It was literally back and forth, until the Knicks got that turnover off Brunson's fingertips, fam. 43 points. Cat had a great game. First 3 quarters. I mean, the 4th quarter's a blur. I mean, we did everything we needed to do except secure the win. We can obviously hang with this team. We can dominate this team for stretches. But unlike the Boston Celtics, were really able to kill us by 3. Aaron Neesmith just turned into Ray Allen, man, for 3 minutes. That's all it took. But I understand the poor closeouts for the first few threes. That's how the run started. You're up 14. You don't want to foul a 3-point shooter, so you kind of lean back. You let them shoot it. They start hitting a couple, then all of a sudden, whoa, it's 2 minutes still on the clock. We've still got plenty of possessions. It's tough, man. You just have to execute. But yeah, I put this down to free throws. I mean, shooters are going to shoot sometimes. Tonight, we witnessed a miracle, a miracle on both sides. 994 teams win and 0 teams lose from the position that the Knicks were in, man. But eventually a record was meant to be broken. Game 2 is a must-win now. The Pacers started the best that they could possibly start, and the Knicks weathered the storm, and they got ahead, and they played a great 3 quarters. The win was there, man. It was all but secured. Everyone was looking ahead to game 2, and before you know it, man, we choked. Man, you guys are here. I appreciate you joining me. This is therapy, no doubt. I mean, a lot of neutrals are already loving this series right now, but just sick to my stomach. Ricardo says Knicks choked. CC says not all on Tibbs. Yeah, I thought we executed okay later. Fouling was good. I mean, we hit our free throws and we still win the game. So, you could talk about, the lack of coverage on the threes and all of that. I don't really think that was the thing that killed us. I mean, Halliburton, you live with that step back 3. It banked off the iron and unbelievable. I mean, even Obi's reverse layup. Just so many freakish plays tonight. Maybe tonight's Indiana using up all of their luck. Maybe they will get some more luck as the series goes, man. But the Knicks had plenty of luck against Boston. Tonight was basically hexed. AP with the super chat contribution. Appreciate you, fam. AP says, CT, we will hear about this one for the next 30 years if they lose this series. This is game 5, 94 conference finals again. Cat, aka Carlos Beltran. This is the Patrick Ewing finger roll. This is Reggie Miller, 9 points in 30 seconds. This is basically everything in one. But like you said, and I appreciate how you started the super chat, if we lose this series, if we win this series, hey, let Halliburton have his viral moment, but this series is far from over. Our team is so mentally tough. If any team can come back from a setback like this, it don't matter if you lose the game by 30, it don't matter if you lose by 1. A loss is a loss. But I think this team would have gained a lot more confidence playing Indiana. The feeling out process of the game. Game 1 is always the feeling out process, fam, and this is a snatch and grab if I've ever seen one, man. This was highway robbery for Indiana, right? Is Aaron Neesmith going to go 8 of 9 from downtown? Most of those in the 4th. I mean, he might, but it's probably not going to be until another 150 odd games. Like I said, I think tonight we witnessed a miracle. Just an unlosable game. If the Knicks had won this game, the biggest positive I would have talked about was the bench contributions. The non-Brunson minutes, I think, really got this game going. Brunson foul trouble killed us, but then OG stepped up. D. Grant says, CT, Tibbs better start playing the bench because he keeps relying on the starters. No even substituting them throughout the game. I thought the campaign minutes were pretty average. He hit a couple of big shots, which kind of masked those minutes, and we escaped. I thought Deuce was solid. Mitchell Robinson was phenomenal defensively. Four offensive rebounds, really impactful. And I'll bring up the rebounding right now. If this is an indication of the rest of the series, guys, the Knicks win the rebounding 65-49. I mean, that's an absolute murder. But we only shot 32 from deep. They shot 40. It's the fast-paced basketball, more possessions. Now, we killed them with some extra possessions, but when they play so fast, the game is never over until the clock is 0, fam. As we see tonight, we took our foot off the gas. 13 fast break points to the Knicks 5. And we threw the ball away too many times, fam. 15 turnovers to 7. I'm going to bet that doesn't happen again. So that's another thing in Indiana's favor tonight. The fast break points, the high pace, the shooting, the extra possessions. However, the Knicks still would have won this game if they hit free throws, man. 28 of 40 from the stripe as well. It's been an issue all season, and it's come back to kill us in a huge game. 28 of 40, man. Mikal Bridges shouldn't be missing both free throws. I don't care if he's rusty. I know he hasn't been to the line since the Detroit series, but you got to at least split. If you're Mikal Bridges, you're an 80% free throw shooter. You need to split those free throws, fam. You don't need to miss both. Cat in a big spot, choked at the line. OG choked with that final free throw. Again, but the game's done, man. You tip your cap to Indiana. I mean, they'll be thinking, they can talk smack all they want, but this was a smash and grab. This is a guy that just hoisted threes. They went in the final few minutes. I've never been more comfortable late in a playoff game with 2.5 minutes remaining. Right, I thought this game was done. This game was done and dusted. The Knicks should have just ran out the clock. Just still in shock right now. But like AP said in the super chat, appreciate you again, fam. Said, people will be talking about this game for 30 years. Buzzer says facts. Ekim says, bro, Pacers done this twice to Cleveland. You should be prepared for their late game runs. That's a good point. Maybe I'm overlooking. I mean, I'm not saying Indiana aren't capable, but any team should not be losing a game for 2:45 on the clock 14 points up. The Pacers needed a million things to go their way. A foot on the line, a goaltending. Like I said, that should have been a goaltend. It's a 5-point swing right there. The ball hitting Brunson's fingertips, with Pacers still with an extra challenge call. Right. Free throws, late turnovers, all of those things. But it is what it is, man. We roll the ball out game 2. Let's go. Let's go to war right now. I think I'm thankful we don't have 2 days to stew on this. I thought the players didn't really look that gassed. I thought 4 days rest. I thought our bench won some significant minutes. I think the Brunson foul trouble killed us. David says, I hate watching TNT. They're always anti-Knicks. Yeah, I feel like they just like the neutral. They like drama, put it that way. Any piece of drama. The Knicks are the home team. They would love the road team to steal it. They love all that drama. But yeah, CC says I mute them out. Emmanuel says they stole it. Let the indie fans talk their smack and just believe in our guys. If anything, our guys have shown that they can overcome adversity. Yeah, I think everything came true this game in terms of what I expected. The Knicks dominated the glass. The Pacers' pressure was obviously a hindrance. TJ McConnell, I thought he got into the paint too many times. I thought that's something we can clean up. I know TJ McConnell's killed the Knicks and will still be a threat, but he was getting into the paint far too easily, even for my liking. Yeah, and the Knicks hit their free throws, and this game's over. But who else should he play? DeLon Wright. Let us know. Would you like to see DeLon Wright get campaigns minutes? It's a campaign tough experience because if he's not hitting those threes, he's not really doing much. He's not really doing much. Yep. This is the choke game, no doubt about it. To be honest, out of all the craziness, and Aaron Neesmith, tip my cap to him. I don't know what the hell whatever possessed him. An angel possessed him tonight. The way he was just flailing and just throwing up shots, they were just going in. But when the Tyrese Halliburton step back, hit the iron all the way up in the air and goes back down again, I just knew it wasn't our night, man. Mets Nick says, my goodness, CT, this is not a good sign. Look, I think it's going to be a long series. Many people predicted 7, and I think that they're probably very accurate right now, man. Look, the Knicks just got to take care of game 2, put the pressure back on Indiana. We've got 2 chances to win a game in Indiana. I like our chances, fam. I think this is going to really obviously sting, but it's going to motivate our guys. They don't want their legacy, their season to end on a game like this. So let's see how it plays out. Dish Dash says the Knicks pulled a Boston Celtics special. Yeah, I always like to look at it both ways. Like when the Knicks were winning those games against Boston, I didn't like that Boston were taking the credit away from the Knicks. They were always focusing on their collapse. Tonight, I want to also give respect to Indiana because if you hit those shots, you hit those shots. They were crazy. But 8 of 9 from Aaron Neesmith, if that beats you, fam. That's basically Steph Curry, Ray Allen type shit. And it's tough to do anything extra. We should be defending better. But obviously we had overtime as well. We had the lead. We win this game if we have a simple challenge call. We probably get the ball back. Hit those free throws. I mean, we choked, man. A lot of these games might be real close. They could go either way. I mean, game 3 last year, man, killed us with Andrew Nemhard. Tonight, it's Aaron Neesmith as well. But yeah, I think our guys will come correct. This is a very even series. Halliburton, I respect Neesmith and those guys, but Halliburton wasn't doing much all game, in my opinion. He hit us with the choke. It was a choke, but I think it's dangerous if you're an Indiana fan. I think if you're Halliburton, he's going to have a target on his back right now. Hitting the choke at the Garden in game one, that's his decision. The Knicks gotta make him pay. The Knicks gotta respond, make him pay right now. And look, we could be on the winning end of another game like this. Indiana hopefully choke a game at home. But yeah, they are a tough team late down the stretch. You got to hit your free throws, Jazzman says terrible loss. Emmanuel says facts, just goes to show Neesmith hit 5 threes in a row, then Halliburton gets the last shot. Regulation. Elliot says Knicks will win by 30 on Friday. Stay sturdy, fellow Knicks fans. Yeah, Halliburton dips in and out. He goes up and down. He's inconsistent. The Knicks will have chances to punish them. Eddie says this game was choked away. Even with Neesmith's threes, we should still have won. Yeah, I agree. Indiana needed so much to go their way. It was a smash and grab, if I've ever seen one, man. All sports that I've watched in my life, 41 years of age, I am. This is one of the biggest smash and grabs I've ever seen. One of the biggest chokes. But it's game one. It's not a definitive final. If you choked a game like this, where it's a definitive final, a Super Bowl, or a game 7, there's no coming back from that. The Knicks have a chance to come back. The Knicks have a chance to come back from this. They controlled most of the game. Let's see how it plays out. David says, I hope this doesn't linger with the team. You just got to learn from the mistakes. Forget tonight's results. Yeah, some poor officiating. I think that obviously did decide the game. They got a few things correct, but obviously that goaltend killed us, man. How do you miss that goaltend? Right? They're happy to look at every single thing and review it and all of that. Even the foot on the line. We should still have won. Philip says it was a degrading loss, but no quitting. Knicks gonna win. Let's go. We might just have to win in 7 now, fam. I predicted Knicks in 6 because I hoped that we would take care of the first 2 games. But if we split in Indiana, then we'll be back on home court. So let's see how it plays out, fam. You got to take 2 of the next 3. I think the equation becomes a sort of a mini best of 3, in my opinion, right now. You got to get the urgency up if you're the Knicks, because in my opinion, you drop this one, it's a best of 3 now. You got to win 2 out of the next 3 to split the series 2-2 and get back home court advantage. And then we go again. We go again from there. Live Like Chris says, worst loss in Knicks history. It's up there, man. I wouldn't put it as the worst, but I can understand right now how all of you are feeling, man. My heart goes out to everybody. I'm feeling it. It's unthinkable. But like I said, this game ain't definitive. It ain't a game 7. It ain't a Super Bowl. The Knicks will have a chance to win this series. If we lose the series, we're happy to look back and say that this was the game that lost it, But we had a lot of luck against Boston, Sometimes, reality does sink in, and you have to find multiple ways to win a game at this time of year. Some things don't always go your way, but fate, you have to control the controllables, and the Knicks didn't do that. The controllables were take care of the ball, don't have 17 turnovers or 15. The controllables are hit the free throws, man. Take the chances away from the other team. Thibodeau, got to get your rotations correct, right? Got to get that paint defense sorted. Close out on those threes. But also, I thought keeping Brunson out there, man, with 4 fouls was risky. The 3rd foul I didn't agree with. The 4th foul was correct. Brunson was he lost his head, man. Under the basket, just give up the layup, man. Why are you fouling Nemhard under the basket? You know he's going to try to bait you into something, and he fell for the trap. So that fourth foul wasn't smart from Brunson. He definitely let his emotions, adrenaline, and his want to get the better of Nemhard, and making this personal. Tonight down the stretch. Crazy, man, crazy outcome. I still can't believe I was in shock getting to overtime. Eddie says Brunson made a few mistakes down the stretch that hurt us. I love Brunson, but he needs to play smart down the stretch. Should have kept the ball and not passed to OG. 20 seconds left, keep the ball. Yeah, I think that's a fair play, man. I would have liked us to just keep the ball. To their credit, they were trying to get some movement going. OG got the ball, and then Deuce, I think, kicked it out. Comes off Brunson's fingertips. It's just crazy. I think one of the biggest lessons Tibbs should have learned tonight is to keep the challenge, man. I know Brunson's third foul, that block on Neesmith, that was not called a block. Basically, a foul on Brunson, offensive foul. It does you no service to keep to use the challenge, man. Early third quarter, right? This is a tight game. Anything can happen. Save your challenge, man. Save your challenge until the dying stretches. That's a valuable lesson that Thibodeau needs to learn. Don't succumb to the pressure of using that challenge call. But like I said, it goes both ways. If you feel confident that you're going to win the challenge, sometimes these referees just see it differently. You're putting your fate in the hands of the referees in that point. And I thought it was right to challenge, but sometimes you just have to just stay out of it, as the Knicks lose a game from this winning position, right? We feel like Boston fans, man. We've got to come correct and dominate game 2. I think the Knicks will obviously have probably more motivation, dare I say. If you needed any more motivation to beat Indiana, then losing a game like this will obviously add more fuel to the fire. The Halliburton choke, I haven't seen quotes yet, but I know what Brunson and those boys are going to be saying. They're going to be like, this is one game. You throw it in the trash. You obviously look at some film throughout the game, but a late collapse doesn't take away what the Knicks were executing earlier in the game. It just means that they've got to, close it out better. But yeah, Indiana needed a miracle tonight. Like I said, I'm confident saying that. I don't need to watch this game again to see that I witnessed a miracle. But the Knicks didn't handle what they needed to handle, The way Neesmith was just hitting every single three, I'm just like, why wasn't he shooting earlier? Why weren't the Pacers just shooting those shots earlier? But yeah, it's crazy. The crowd was fantastic. Shout out to you guys, the fans, the crowd. The crowd delivered. It was an unbelievable atmosphere. The air was taken out of the building when that Halliburton step back, when it banked off the iron and went all the way down. It was, if you're a Pacers fan, this is one of those games that you'll just never ever forget. And on the Knicks side, probably a game that you won't forget either, but a game that you'll want to forget. Mario says we have to play a full game. And Chris says Halliburton had 31, bro. What do you mean? I think Halliburton, for me personally, good all-round game, but I think he goes in and out of the game where it's kind of, I think the Knicks were happy to give up some of the step backs and deny penetration. When Halliburton's getting penetration, 2 feet in the paint and kicking out, the Pacers are a lot more dangerous. But yeah, you give up some of those threes. He can be streaky. He goes in and out of the game at times, but he hit one of the bigger shots in the game. we'll see how it plays out for the rest of the series, guys. This is game one. You know, regardless how the result ended up, um, the game one of any playoff series, I always say this, is the easiest game to steal for the road team, because I mean these two teams haven't played each other since February. You know, and it's a feeling out process. I think both teams had their moments, got some momentum. The Knicks weathered the storm early when Indiana started 8 for 8, and everything just seemed perfect. The Knicks' coverage was bad, but the Indiana Pacers started to feel a bit more defensive pressure when the Knicks' defense tightened up. The Knicks got their offense going, um, and got ahead. You know, got some big momentum plays. I thought the Knicks dealt with the physicality a little bit more, but obviously their size was a factor with the rebounding. If the Knicks continue to win the rebounding at this rate, 65 rebounds tonight, 13 offensive, I'm very confident we'll have a chance to win this series if the rebounding continues to go this way. But unfortunately, the three is the great equalizer. Indiana, if they just want to focus on the three and hit it at a great clip like they did tonight late, you have a chance. You have a chance, you know, in any game. And that's how the New York Knicks were able to, beat Boston with those threes as well. Emmanuel is talking about variance. Yeah. I think, you know, I mean, the game's separated by 3 points. You know, any team could have won this game. We call it a choke. It was a choke because the Knicks were up by 14. But if the Knicks weren't up by 14 and we see the game, we see a team that won it by 3 points, it'd be as most people expected. You know, there's not much in between these two teams right now. Maybe as the series goes, Indiana might be the more fresh team. I always say you got to look at 4 games first, see what Indiana look like in Indianapolis. They might dominate us a lot more than we were able to dominate tonight. Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out, fam. Pacer fans celebrate game one. You know, big time win for them. We could be looking back at this was the series, or we might not be looking back too much on this one because there might be 3 more crazy games like this. Both teams are good teams late, traditionally. I mean, Brunson was phenomenal getting some of those tough looks, making the Pacer defense work on a string. It's just, yeah, Indiana's threes went down. I mean, if you want to think that Neesmith going 8 of 9 in the dying minutes of a game is sustainable, then we'll see that. You know, hopefully we'll see if that plays out or not. But you know, this is the NBA. Anything can happen. I just don't think that's something we're going to be seeing again and again. The Pacers are going to have to find ways to win the game in other ways as well. And the Knicks will be coming back with a chip. I was quite surprised Nembhard wasn't getting more threes up early. I think he hasn't been shooting the 3 ball very well, throughout the playoffs. So I hear. But yeah, I thought he had quite a few open looks that he wasn't taking. Last season, he was happy to pull that trigger and kill us. But yeah, Nembhard was passing up some looks tonight. I thought the Pacers could have got their 3 game going earlier. And the Knicks obviously took advantage. But when time came, Aaron Neesmith turned into Steph Curry, into Ray Allen. And that's all she wrote. Just an unbelievable flamethrower performance from him. I've got to watch the film back because I'm sure most of those were very open looks, but I'm sure I remember at least 2 or 3 of them were kind of contested. I know Neesmith fell forward in one of them, seeking out the contact. But yeah, everything was just going down. We'll see how it all plays out, fam. But yeah, we've got to bring up the wire to wire, and that's something that's a bit more indicative, in my opinion. I know Pacers, could win the series. I'm not someone that said Pacers can't win the series. So there's respect there in terms of both teams have a chance to win this series. But if you look at this game in totality, the Knicks had control for more of the game. And so if you're the Knicks, you bury this one, you move on to game 2. The Pacers, in my opinion, stole this game. And if you look at the wire to wire, I mean, that's an indication. But if you're the Pacers, you could also say, look, we didn't play very great. We were dominated for parts of the game, and we still won the game as well. And that's the same thing that Boston, was saying to the Knicks. We dominated games, we lost it, we threw it away, etc., etc. So we'll see how the rest of it plays out, man. I kind of don't have many more words to say. We look ahead to game 2. I think it's going to be even more spicy. Both teams had control for periods. The Pacers started well. The Knicks dominated from the second and third quarter onwards. Fourth were comfortable position. And then the three ball. Started going down. Get ready to wrap this thing up. Emmanuel says, worried we'll be tired. Jalen looked tired. Eddie says, remember the Pacers play to get Brunson exhausted by the end of the game. We need to be up and hold on. They are banking on wearing down Brunson. Brunson did look ragged at the end of this game. I'm not really as worried about that, guys. I think the team has it in them. They're healthy. Tibbs can rotate a bit more, I think, as the series goes. I think these first few games are the games, where Tibbs needs to play these guys. You need to bank these wins. One loss could lose you the series. So worry about I'm more worried about the attrition gassing out later in the series. But you gotta bank these wins. Maybe the Knicks having 4 days rest. Maybe Brunson was a bit winded, tonight. But yeah, I thought he was phenomenal. Did his job. Take away the turnovers, obviously. However, Indiana just got those threes up, fam. Let's conclude on this as I bring this up once again. This stat, like tonight is a miracle. It does not happen very often, if ever, right? Teams that lead by 14 points in the final 2:45 are 994 wins, 0 losses, right? So the Knicks lost the unlosable. For the Pacers, is that sustainable? The Knicks choked. The Knicks choked this game. But fair play, the Knicks Pacers stole it. They got the win. That's all that matters at the end of the day. That's all I was saying to Boston fans. I don't care how you win, how you lose. You got to bank the win. You only need 4 wins, and the Pacers only need 3 more. The Knicks need to get 4. But from this game's perspective, this won't happen again for probably, years, a decade, maybe a quarter century, maybe half a century, maybe a century. Who the hell knows? But teams that lead by 14 points with 2:45 remaining are 994-0. So the Pacers pulled off a miracle. And we move on, man. We move on to game 2. There's plenty more basketball left in the season and in this series. So let's go, Knicks. Got to throw this one in the trash and bounce back and split. Get game 2. And let's see how it plays out, fam. But thanks for joining us in the stream. Replay gang salute. And get ready, man. Game 2 is going to... I want to put this game behind us and hopefully pick out the big dub. As Philip says, no quitting. And Eddie says exactly, it was a choke job tonight. Pacers stole the game with miraculous play, which happens, Emmanuel says. It's a bit of both, fam. I think the Knicks collapsing and the Pacers stole it as well. Because if you look at 994 teams were able to do something to secure the win. But yeah, the Nick Smith free throws, some calls went against the Knicks, some insane shot making and all of that. But yeah, I'm still give credit to Indiana. I just feel like it was a stolen game and a Knicks choke more than anything. But we'll have plenty more games to settle the score, right? This is just episode 1. Episode 2's coming right up in a minute. So appreciate everyone. Have a great night. Try to enjoy the rest of the playoffs. I know I will, but obviously if we lose this series, I'm going to be looking back, this game and say, look, man, maybe it's just the Pacers' year. The Knicks needed a lot of things to go their way against Boston, which got us here. Now's the time when we need to execute to the best of our abilities and to close these games out, and all of those things. And hopefully the best team prevails in this one. Hopefully it's the Knicks. But let's get it on the next one, everyone. Peace.